My name is what? My name is who? My name is Dyl Talks Sports. Let's get it. This is Dyl Talks Sports.
What's up, everybody? As the intro said, this is Dyl Talks Sports. We're back with another episode. This episode is going to be college football conference winners chat, discussion, emergency meeting, whatever you want to call it, to get you excited. Let's do it, man. College football is back this weekend for good. I know it started last weekend. Let's get a quick run out of that. Iowa State played Kansas State. Iowa State came out on top of that game. Really liked what I saw from Iowa State. Again, Matt Campbell's a great coach. Consistent has been, that consistency that Iowa State's been searching for how many years, I saw a stat that in his, I think, 14 seasons, he has 7 winning seasons. Before that, they had like 5, and he has 4 bowl wins. They had 3 before that, and 12 win seasons. He has 2. They had none before that. So, just want to give Matt Campbell his flowers that he deserves. Really, really good coach. And, it's good to see him being successful and making things happen. So, a good win for them. Exactly kind of what I thought was going to happen in the game. Western Kentucky had a game against Sam Houston State. That's another one of my teams this year. I think they're going to win Conference USA, which we'll get to later on. But just consistently good team. Looks good every single year and makes, does all the dirty work and makes the plays down the stretch when we need to. So without further ado, let's dive into the conferences. Number 1, American Conference. So that's going to be the AAC. Wow. Who do I think is going to win this conference? I'm not super confident in this conference, but we're going to go with the Memphis Tigers, just because Memphis is consistently good. They're closer to me. The American Conference in the last couple of years gotten, worse. SMU moved out of there. A couple other good teams moved out of there. Houston, I think, was in there. So that's a pretty easy conference. Not a Power 5 conference, but, a conference nonetheless. And Memphis, has some good years. And Mike Norvell, Florida State's the coach, is from there. So we're going to go American Conference. We're going to go the Memphis Tigers. Memphis. So next conference we got is the Atlantic Coast Conference, or as most know it, the ACC. I think this is really a 2-pony race in the ACC. No pun intended, but maybe pun intended. We got the SMU Mustangs, Pony Up, my alma mater, and Clemson Tigers. As much as I love SMU, I'm going to go with Clemson winning the ACC. I think it's going to be an SMU-Clemson ACC championship game. I just think Clemson, they have the seniority. They've had the players there have been for many years. And SMU, I see the same thing, but I just see Clemson, they've been a perennial program for how long. Dabo's been there, making them ball out continuously for many, many years. And I just like the direction of that. I think Klubnik's in his 3rd or 4th year starting. I like old senior quarterbacks that have played a while and know what they're doing. But for a dark horse team in that division, I see the Louisville Cardinals. I love what Jeff Brom's doing out there in Louisville. Always has a consistently good team and makes things happen there. Miami, I know their offense is going to be really good. They have Carson Beck, and the offense is going to be high-powered. But is the defense going to get any stops ever? The ACC is kind of known for that, and that's SMU's kind of Achilles heel too. And that's what I like about Clemson. Clemson's got defense. And when Clemson won a couple national championships, that's what they were predicated on, was their defense, was their front seven. This year, they got a couple D tackles, All-American D tackles. The linebacking core is looking good again. So Clemson has all the things that, has won them national championships in the past consistently, and that's what I like about where Clemson is this year. SMU, on the other hand, I like SMU because, they have Kevin Jennings coming back for another year. I think he's, an experienced quarterback now and can get it done even in the colder situations. I went and saw him at Penn State last year. Unfortunately, kind of had a lull in that game in the cold. Happens when you're not used to it. So, but another team in the ACC that I always forget about is North Carolina, the Tar Heels. Man, Bill Belichick, crazy enough to say, is a football head coach in college, and I'm curious to see what happens with them. I don't have enough pre-knowledge on them or training camp knowledge to tell you they're going to be this or that or whatever. But Bill Belichick is a winner. He's been a winner everywhere he's gone. So I think he can make something happen with North Carolina and go from there. And then Florida State, Florida State's another team always. They're in the ACC. Are they a force to be reckoned with? I don't know. After last year, 2 wins, they were absolutely atrocious last year and didn't really do much. So we're going to see what happens there. But again, Clemson's my prediction. I think SMU's second. And I think North Carolina and Florida State and Miami are going to be fighting for that 3 or 4 spot. But, later in the year I'll be able to give you more. I'm going to watch a lot of Bill Belichick's games, see what he has going. Florida State, they got to be better than last year. I mean, they're a historic program. Norvell's got to get something going there after that just atrocious year last year. And them keeping them there, giving them a chance. So, we'll see. And then Syracuse. Syracuse got a transfer quarterback in there. And last year had Kyle McCord come in there. A lot of people were writing Kyle McCord off. Ended up having the most passing yards in the NCAA, and they passed the most. So don't sleep on the Syracuse Orange. Fran Brown got that team kind of efficient, ready to go. And then, boom, next conference, Big 12 conference. How we feeling about the Big 12 conference? We got some big teams, Utah, K-State, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, the CU Buffaloes, Baylor, BYU, Arizona, ASU, Kansas State, Iowa State. There's a lot of teams in there that I think could win. The Big 12 conference, I think it's pretty open. But I'm going to ride with Arizona State this year. I think Kenny Dillingham's going to do a great job there. The quarterback that they still have there at Arizona State. I'm looking him up. Sam Leavitt. There you go. Sam Leavitt. I think he's a dark horse. Heisman candidate this year. I think Kenny Dillingham's doing a great job at Arizona State. I think that's a tough conference. So I think Big 12 is always a wide open conference. I think it's one of the most wide open conferences in football. I think CU could do something with Caden Soder, their transfer quarterback from Liberty. I saw he announced he's getting started today, so congrats on that. Utah, of course, is always good. Depends on their quarterback if he's hurt or not. He's still there after 10 years. I don't know. Anyways, Utah's always a good team. Arizona's could be good this year. I think Baylor's got a chance to be really good. And Iowa State's always going to be consistently good. But I think Arizona State's the team that gets it done this year. I think Kenny Dillingham, I think he's in year 3 now. Sam Leavitt, that dark horse Heisman kid, I think they're going to get it done, and they're going to make big things happen in Tempe this year. So Big 12 Conference, really excited for. I think it's one of the more open conferences in football, and I'm excited to see what happens there. Next conference, the Big Ten Conference. Wow, the Big Ten. We are Big Ten, nothing like the Big Ten. So, of course, you got the big guys in there. Ohio State, Michigan are really your main 2 right now. But now, of course, you have USC in there. You have UCLA. You have Oregon, Penn State, Wisconsin, Nebraska. Sparty, Illinois. Big Ten Conference this year. I think it's going to be a tougher conference this year. I don't think it's just only going to be run by Ohio State and Michigan this year. I think there's going to be a couple other teams that kind of make something happen. I think one of those teams is Illinois. I think Bielema's got a good system going on, and then they got Altmaier, who was an original Ole Miss player, but now at Illinois. I think Illinois is poised for a big year this year. And I think USC has to have a big year this year. I think Lincoln Riley is kind of getting on that hot seat port where, he hasn't been winning at the rate that I think people expected him to when he went to USC, coming from Oklahoma. There's no excuses for him. I mean, he's had every good quarterback in the book that you can think of. And if you say, these quarterbacks are good in the NFL, and they majority are, I mean, Hurts is good. Baker's good. Caleb's good. No matter what you guys say, Caleb's good. Kyler's good. They got just a bunch of guys, and it's time for him to do something this year, or I think USC is going to let him go, and he might have to find a new way because they just haven't been consistently good. But you know what? We're going to go with the surprise in the Big Ten Conference. We're going to go with Penn State. Penn State winning the conference. I saw the stat. Maybe I'm a believer. Maybe I'm on the hype train. Drew Aller's everyone's on. I'm not the biggest Drew Aller guy, but I like Penn State. I liked what I saw from James Franklin last year more So actually coaching and being close in big games than just getting blown out like he consistently has in the past. So Penn State, number 2 team in the nation, starting off, maybe it's their year for glory. Ohio State got a new quarterback coming in, Julian Sain, and Michigan starting a true freshman. And speaking of which, starting that true freshman, Underwood, I really am impressed with Michigan, and more so him. He just looks like he's wise above his years, poised in the pocket, has the arm strength that's unbelievable. And they're going to be forced to be reckoned with this year. And then Oregon. I mean, I haven't even talked about Oregon, and they're in the conference. I forget about all these teams in the conference now because whatever happened to football. But Oregon can do something too. Dan Lanning's a great coach. But again, I think it's going to be Penn State up there, and then I think it's going to be Michigan or Ohio State. I really do. I think Oregon can make a couple of surprises, but Oregon also gets in those games where they lose and then they slip to the wayside. So we'll see what happens there. And then now we got Conference USA. As I said, that's the conference I was talking about with Western Kentucky. So they got Western Kentucky, Delaware, FIU, Jacksonville State, Kennesaw State, Liberty, Louisiana Tech, Middle Tennessee State, Missouri State, New Mexico State, UTEP, and Sam Houston. I love Western Kentucky to win this conference. They were picked to win second this year. I'm picking them to win first. It's always between really them and Liberty every pretty much year. I think Western Kentucky gets it done. I liked what I saw from the quarterback. They got the new offensive coordinator in there from Abilene Christian. Tyson Helton's always been a great offensive coach in general. So I think this is the year that West Kentucky is going to get it done in this conference and win. I'd say West Kentucky is a perennial non-Power 5 school that's always consistently good. Saw it with my cousin, shout out Brandon Leston. But Conference USA, kind of what it's going to be and go from there. And then we have our FBS Independents. It's not really a conference, but of course Notre Dame's an independent. UConn's independent. I don't think UConn's going to make it anywhere. They're more of a basketball school. Sorry, UConn. But Notre Dame, actually impressed me last year with making the national championship. Granted, they lost, but making the game and actually showing that they can consistently do it and be good and actually make things happen. So I think they make the playoff again this year. I love what Marcus Freeman's doing out there in South Bend and go from there. And now we have the MAC conference. Nothing better than Tuesday night action. Looking forward to the Tuesday night action. Let's get the football going. But some notable teams, Eastern Michigan, Northern Illinois, Ohio, Toledo, Western Michigan, Central Michigan, Buffalo, Bowling Green, Ball State, Akron, Massachusetts. Wow, this conference is rough. I don't really know a lot about the action, so this is going to be kind of going out a whim, but we're going to, based on what I know from last year, I'm going to say Toledo is going to win that conference. I know Toledo's consistently a good team. They run a high-powered offense that's, tough to be stopped, especially in the MAC. MAC's kind of a high-scoring conference, but I like Toledo in this conference. I just – it's what I think is going to happen. I haven't watched a lot of MAC this year, but I know Toledo's been good consistently year over year, so we're going to go with them. Boom! Next conference, the Mountain West Conference, one of the best conferences in football. Non-Power 5, of course, but we got the Wyoming Cowboys in there, the Colorado State Rams, Utah State, the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors with a big win. UNLV with a big win as well. There's not as much, so they almost choked that game. But, of course, you have Boise State in this conference, which looks like Boise State's going to win the Mountain West Conference. They're always a consistently good team in that conference. And I'm going to pick them again this year. I like Boise State, but don't sleep on Wyoming. The only problem with Wyoming that has happened over the last couple of years, unfortunately, is the NIL and transfer portals really killed what Wyoming was about. Wyoming's a program that wants to build and build internally and make just everyone be better and all that. And transfer portal, unfortunately, you don't like Wyoming, you transfer out of there and then you're not going back. So, but Boise State's going to win this conference. I like Colorado State maybe making a surprise run at second and hopefully getting in the Mountain West Championship game. Maybe that's the bias because I went there and I graduated from there, but I got to think one of those years this year. I mean, Norvell's been there. Not Norvell, sorry. Wow, why can't I remember his name now? Colorado State's head coach. Colorado State head coach. That's my bad, guys. Here we go. Jay Norvell. It is Norvell. It is Coach Norvell. I knew it was Norvell. It's just different Norvell. So Coach Norvell. he's got to make it happen this year if they want to be anything and continue to do stuff. And then next conference we have is the Pac-12 conference. I don't really know if they have a championship game anymore, considering there's only 2 teams in there. But we're riding with Washington State Cougars. My old coach from the University of Wyoming, Jacob Dickert, is the head coach at Washington State. Of course, Washington State is the home of Mike Leach, as a lot of people remember. Air raid offense, just very forward-looking when it comes to football and innovative. So, love Washington State. Hopefully the Big 12 Conference can make a comeback. I know there's some teams joining, and I'm excited for that because it's sad to see what has happened at that wonderful conference. So, boom, baby. Next conference, the SEC, the biggest conference and most important conference in football, as everyone would say. Of course, Texas, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, Arkansas, Auburn, Kentucky, LSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, South Carolina, A&M, Big Texas, and Vandy. I think it's a barn burner of a conference. Of course, you got Alabama. Of course, you got Georgia. Of course, you got Florida. Of course, you got Tennessee. Of course, you got Texas. But who do I think is going to win this conference? Texas won last year. I don't want to think they're going to go back-to-back, so we're going to go with the Georgia Bulldogs. Kirby Smart is going to get those boys going. The only problem that I have with Georgia, and it's going to make me bite my tongue, is fucking Mike Bobo. He is an atrocious head offense coach, was an atrocious head coach at Colorado State. I was under him, played under him. I got nothing to say about him. I hope they do better. But Georgia, ever since Monken left, has been the same offensively. Stetson Bennett as well doesn't get the love he deserves for how good of a player he is. But wow, man, that's going to be a great battle this year in that conference. I think LSU could surprise some people. I just don't trust Brian Kelly as much. Same with Bama. And then Texas, of course. I think it's going to be Texas and Georgia. I think it's going to be a really 2-man race between them. I think, crazy enough, Ole Miss could sneak in there because I like Lane Kiffin. I like what he does. But that's what I got to go there. And then lastly, we have the Sun Belt Conference, which we got Appalachian State, Coastal Carolina, Georgia Southern, Georgia State, James Madison, Marshall, Old Dominion, Arkansas State, the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, South Alabama, Southern Mississippi, Texas State, Troy, and then UL Monroe. Sun Belt Conference, again, don't know a lot about the Sun Belt Conference, but know James Madison's been consistently good over the years, and Marshall. So, you know what? We're just going to ride with the James Madison Dukes. I've been watching them in FCS football. I watched when they were dominant there, and I think they're going to make some things happen in the Sun Belt Conference. So I think they were banned last year from winning the championship, and they got it back because now they've been in the conference long enough. So we're going to go with the James Madison Dukes. Boom! That was the fastest 18 minutes of picking college sports. We're going to keep it going for y'all because I love doing this. This is my career. This is what I want to do for all of y'all, bring you just happiness and sports talks. I can't wait to get anyone on. If you guys want to come on the podcast below, let me know. I'd love to get on a video with any of you and talk sports. But anyways, conference recap. So we got the James Madison and the Sun Belt, Georgia and the SEC, Pac-12 Washington State, Mountain West Boise State, MAC we got Toledo, FBS Independence I said what Notre Dame's going to do. Conference USA we got the West Kentucky Hilltoppers, Big 10 Penn State on the surprise. Big 12 I went with Arizona State because I like Sam Levin, I like Kenny Dillingham. ACC I went Clemson, unfortunately got to go against my ponies. And then the American Conference I went with Memphis. So that's it. That's Dyl Talks Sports for today, man. Just going to continue to put out these videos, man, because this is my opportunity to do something big and keep supporting me. You know, I got my brand Dynasty. It's all about non-endocrine disrupting clothing. Coming out now, big come up. Everyone coming up. You know, I got a couple NIL athletes signed under it, and looking forward to continue to grow that brand forward. But anyways, that was Dyl Talks Sports college football conference preview. Really excited for the season, guys. Shout out Lee Corso. Congrats on a great career, and have a great last college game day. This was Dyl Talks Sports. Build your dynasty. God bless. Deuces.